Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from where or when you're watching this video. This is John from IT Skills Academy, and I take this opportunity to welcome you to my channel. Welcome and welcome back. We continue to create the pharmacy management system, and in this episode we'll be stepping back a little bit to look at how I created the dashboard. This is as a result of several of you guys requesting me to show you how I created the dashboard. So we'll be starting from the template that we are currently viewing on the screen, just to make things fast. So as you can see here, we have this empty dashboard, and as I mentioned, this is what we'll be building. So let's just launch into the Visual Studio Code and see now how the code looks like. So just to make our work easier, I have written some comments here just to guide us on what we'll be doing step by step. So this is the whole code for the specific template. If you need this template, kindly just request for it in the comment section below, and I will be more than ready to share it with you so that you can modify it the way you want. But for the scope of this video, we'll just be having this component within the dashboard. So the dashboard starts here, as you can see from the comment that I have here, and then we'll be having the business here, we'll be having the medicine sales, we'll be having the medicine list, the count of all the expired medicine, the opening balance, the account payable, and the count of all the transactions that are made in a day. We'll also be having a list of the patients who are awaiting to be served. All this data will be coming from the database, so it will be dynamic. We also have the comment down there that this is where the dashboard will be heading. So without so much ado, let's get started, but first we roll the intro, shall we? Okay, so thanks for choosing to continue learning with IT Skills Academy, and right now we'll be starting with the business here. First of all, we'll start with the HTML part of it, and then we'll add the PHP part. So let's start with the HTML. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll just come and create a div here. So basically I'll just want to have a row, so I'll create a div with a class of row. So dot row, and I think it's best that I also zoom this out a little bit so that everyone can see what I'm writing. So I have already created a div with a class of row. So this row, I'll have it with a specific number of columns. So I'll just inside that row come and create another column. So I'll have another div with a class of col sm3. And for those who are watching this episode for the first time, we have created several episodes on how to create a pharmacy management system. So to be able to follow along, I would suggest that you watch the other videos first before you get to this one. But all in all, you can also be able to follow along and understand a few things or a few concepts. So basically we are using Bootstrap. We have already linked to Bootstrap libraries, so that's why we are using the Bootstrap classes to build this dashboard. So we'll also have another div here, and this one will just help us to create a card. So I'll just come and say dot card, and that will create a div for me with a class of card. And this card, I wanted to have a background color. I want to give it a background color. So for that, I'll just use the Bootstrap class, the BG success. So this, as you know, will help me to have a green background. So now below the below the card, or inside the card rather, we're also going to have yet another div, and this one will be for the card body. So just come and say card body. So basically we are using cards to create our dashboard. So now within the card body, we are going to have the card header. So this one will be in a h4 element, so just say h4, and I'll give it a class of card title. So now it is within now this h4 that you're going to have the title of this specific item. So this one, as we mentioned, will be the business here. So I'll just come and say business here. Alright, so now for the business here, we'll be getting this from the database. We'll be getting this from the database, but just to make it easier for you to understand, first of all, we are going to just have a dummy value, although now we'll be modifying this so that it comes from the database dynamically, but let's just have a dummy number. So we're going to have a h6, and within the h6 we're just going to put a value, and this one being the year, we're just going to maybe put a dummy date. So we say 12, or maybe we can say 1st of January 2020, maybe 2020, that is. So let me just have it like that, and this one now goes up to the same date, 2021. Yeah, so they just have it like that, and maybe before we continue, we can just watch and see how this looks like on a browser, or check and see how this looks on a browser rather. So just head on to Microsoft Edge, and we already have the page open. So what I'll just do is to refresh it on top here. And as you can see, now we have the business year here, running from 1st of January 2020 to 1st of January 2021. So now let's continue building the other components down there. And now from there it will be very simple. Very simple. Because now what we are first of all going to do is to ensure that this will be the main row, and now all of these other components will be the same, will be within the same div. So if I come and pick this div, I'll see that it adds somewhere here, as you can see from this line here. So I'll first of all come and pick this div, and I wanted to lap the whole of this up to here, so that now all of these are within the same row, and we're just now going to split this row into columns. So let me just a minute. Yes, so just like that, so that now we can now be able to come and pick the whole of this. All of these now is the column. This is now what creates the columns and the column and its contents. So now, because we want to have a similar column, moving here, like that, we're just going to come and copy this. So just come and grab this, and I'll have it now within the comment, the medicine cells. So I'll just paste it there, and we can now change maybe the color here. So instead of success, maybe we can have it being light. So let's refresh the browser and see if we are able to get that as we expect. Yeah, and we're able to get that as we would expect. So we're just going to have the same in the other component, and then we'll just modify it. So I'll have the same here, and I'll also have the same here. So for the opening balance, the card for the opening balance, the card for the account payable. So account payable is like when the business receives some medicine and it has not paid for the same. So we want to know like how many or how much is due, like how much we are expected to pay. And we'll also have the same for the count of the transactions that are made in a day. So we're also going to have a card for that down there. Alright, so now let's refresh the browser and see if we have those cards before now we modify them so that they look the way we want. Well, as you can now see, we have all the cards. We are now just left to modify them so that they have the contents that we want and the different colors that we want. If you want it to have the same color, it's all about you, but in my case I just have it in different colors. So let's just modify that. So starting from the very second one here, so yes, so down here, so this one should be red. So for that we're just going to say Deja. The other one should be dark, so for that we are just going to come and just say dark. The other one should be blue, so for that we just say info. So we are first of all just changing the colors, for now, and the other one should be orange. So we just come and say warning to give it that orange color. So now we have it with the colors. So now we just want to change the names. Yeah, their names, and this one is the transactions that are made in a day. So for that, instead of business here, we're just going to come and say transactions today, transactions. Transactions today, and we can just have a dummy value here. We just put 20 maybe, and the other one will be the account payable. So for the account payable, again just change this to account payable. You can also have a value here, say 10,000 is what we are expected to pay a certain supplier or vendor. Opening balance, so this will be the balance that the company starts with. So opening balance, so these are values that you're going to put when you're first of all creating or using the system for the first time. It will request you to put this information. So maybe for the opening balance we can say it is 500,000 maybe. And here we have the expired products. So they want to show you the number of drugs that are expired, so we can just say expired drugs, and maybe we can say the expired drugs are maybe 25. We have the medicine list, so this is a list of all the total number of medicine that you are like selling in the pharmacy. So so we can just say medicine, just say medicine count, so that maybe it can make more sense, and say maybe the number of medicine that you're selling maybe is like 50 different types: amoxicillin, piriton, brufen, ABZ, MYSQLI, all those. Then we have the medicine sales, like how much have you made from the medicine sold. So medicine sales, and maybe we can say it's like 10,000 for example. And finally we have the business here. So just what we have right now is the dummy data. We don't have it from the database, but we'll just be modifying that. But before we get to that, let's just refresh the browser and see how that looks like. So let's launch back to the text editor, and we just change the expired, so we just go to expired, and here we're just going to come and say so within the card we're just going to come and say text white, and that will be repeated to which other card, the account payable, sorry, this should be on the expired. So we move down to the account payable. We also want to have it there, so let's first of all put that there, the text white, so that we just have the text being white in the account payable component. And we also move to the expired, the account of expired, so we also have this being white. So let's check that. I think that should be it. I think we can also have it on the medicine count, so that it starts out a little bit. So medicine count, we come here, and we just say the text white. So in this div we have two classes, three classes. We have the card that now makes the card, we have the BG light that gives it the color, the background color, and you have the text white being the one that will give it will give the text the color. And this one should not be there, but rather it should be on this, the medicine list. We can also change this to read medicine count, because that is what we have down here. So medicine count, yes, and that's it. So if we refresh that, So that's what we have, and if we also want, we can change this font maybe to be a little bit bigger. So instead of H6, maybe we can work with say H2. Let's try H2 and see. Yeah, I think that makes some sense. It's a little bit more visible. So we can now change all these now to read H2 instead of H6, so that the values are visible. The values are visible. So we're just changing this from H6 to H2. So yeah, I don't know whether there is an easier way of changing all of this to what you want. For now, we're just going to do that manually. If there is any way that everyone, if there is any way that maybe someone outside there is aware of, that you can use to change, then it's good that you share it in the comments section below, so that we can be able to share it with everybody. So H2 is good. Maybe there is some extensions that Visual Studio has that we can use to update all those values all at the same time. It's good that you share it in the comment section below. So yeah, I think that looks nice. So if we refresh that, let's just see the change. And that's what we have. So I think that is making some sense, with the exception of this, because this one will be a little bit excessively big, so I just leave it like that intentionally. Alright, so that's the information that we have there. So the last thing that we need to work on before we move to the PHP is the table that we have down here for the list of the awaiting patients. So let's just work on that very first now before we rush to the PHP part of it that will make the whole dashboard dynamic. Alright, so we'll just move now below those components where we have the comment patients awaiting. So now here, and I want to first of all create a row, yet another row here, or another row, or another new row. So I'll just say dot row, and now within this row we are going to have one big column. So I'll say dot col 12. So I'll retrieve all the 12 bootstrap columns, and now within that, as usual, we are going to have the card, and now within the card we are going to have the card body. So dot card body, and we're also now going to have the heading for that specific card. It will have a class of card title. and the card title will be Patients Are Waiting. Well, now below the h4 we are going to have a div with a class of table responsive. So just say dot table hyphen responsive. Sorry, this one should be responsive. Just like that. And now within this sorry, this one should be responsive. Now within this, now we're going to have the specific table. So I'll just come and have a table here. I'll give it a class of table, so that's a bootstrap class. So I'll just come and say dot table, all table. Let me just have it as a table dot table. So table dot table. Yeah, that gives me a table with a class of table. And now below or within that, we're going to start with the t head and then the t body. So t head, and for the t head we're just going to give it a class, and we're going to give it a class of a bg, right? So now within this we'll have the table headings. Of course that will be within a table row, so I'll create a table row, so tl. Then now within that we're going to have the t head, the table headings, and we're just going to have 4 of them. So just say th asterisk 4, I press the tab, and that gives me the 4 table headings. So the first one will be patient number, followed by patient name, and we have the date of birth, so here we have date of birth, and the last one will be action. Now below that we're going to have the t body. So now below the t head we'll have the t body, and now below now the t body we're now going to have the various TDs, the table columns. So we'll start with TL, and we're just going to have 1 for now, so TD, and now here we are going to have the 4 TDs. So 1 2 3 4, so we just duplicate this 1 2 3 4, and maybe here we can put some dummy data for now. That will be the patient number, the patient name, the patient date of birth, and the action. Maybe something like that. Let's refresh that on a browser and see how that looks like. So we refresh that. Well, so this is the table. As you can see, it looks so beautiful. Well, now this is the table. As you can see, it looks so beautiful. So we have the patient number, the patient name, the date of birth, the action, and we have the dummy data there. So now next what we'll be doing is to add PHP so that we can make this data dynamic. That is, we can be picking it from the database, so that when we make any changes within the system, that specific information is also reflected on our dashboard here. When we add a patient, the patient should appear on this table so that we can also be able to attend to the specific patient. So before we continue to the PHP, writing the PHP scripts, I just want to show you the database that we have already created. So we have already done this in the previous episode. So if you're watching this episode again for the first time, I will recommend that you watch all the previous episodes. That also shows you how we create the database. But for now, it's just to show you the database, so that I just remind you how we have done this. And if you've just decided to just watch this video to only understand how you can make the dashboard, when we view our database, maybe you'll also have a better understanding of how you can go about creating your own. So let's just rush to the PHP MyAdmin where I have the database, so that I just show you something there. Well, so now this is the database that we are using. I've named the database pharmacy, and we have various tables like admitted patients, damage, diagnosis. All of these are the various tables that we have in this database, and within that we have the info table. So this info table contains contains most of the information that we'll be using to or that will be reflected on the dashboard. So that's why it is the first table that I just want to show you here. So we have the name of the pharmacy, we have the address, we have the phone number, the email, the opening date and the closing date, and the opening balance. So this is the information that will be reflected on this. Like for the business year, the opening balance, we are going to view it there. We'll also view the name of the pharmacy. It should appear somewhere here. The address of the company or the pharmacy, specific pharmacy, should also appear somewhere. Here. And the other information that will also appear on the data dashboard is the medicine sales, the medicine count. That one we are going to get it from the store. So we have the store. So this is where we have all the various drugs that we have in the system. And using the date, we'll also be able to say like the expired drugs. The account payable will be using this when we start receiving drugs from the suppliers. So we'll be also seeing how we go about that. For the transactions, we'll just be counting those patients who have been seen today. So we'll be checking the date today to see the specific patient who have been seen in a specific day. Alright, so that's it. So let's just now try to write the PHP script that will just make this information dynamic. Well, this video got quite long, and so I decided to split it into two, and for that reason, let's see you in the next part.